my final question for each of you is just going to be, what did you learn about yourself during the process of this filming? And just in order from how y'all appear on my screen, I'm gonna go from Gary to Eugena to Anthony to Spencer.
Oh wow. I think I learned two things mainly. One was that I wasn't completely ready to shoot my show that I had been thinking about shooting, seeing what Anthony and Spencer had, thrown at them and were going through and had to deal with. Um, that's, most of the reason why I was trying to sit back and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna observe because I need to learn. Um, yeah, it was just a lot of things that they had to deal with, especially in my situation, dealing with me as a SAG actor. Because most of my friends who I would want in my shorts and in my shows are SAG as well. And so I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go through all that red tape. And learning all that stuff really sort of prepared me to sort of sit down at the drawing board and sort of rethink a lot in terms of producibility. I know that's not a word per se, but but you know what I mean when I say it, just as far as something that I can take from idea and actually effectively do without actually having to break my back. And then also just me as an actor, just really, like I said, I hadn't done something like that before. And, I'd always in my brain was like, yeah, I can definitely do this. But actually being able to step in the shoes and do it and actually live it and breathe it. And it's so funny that we mentioned the COVID shutdowns because you guys don't know how that like really affected me because like in my head, I was like, cool, January, I'm gonna be serial killer. Then it's gonna be done. And I'm gonna by my birthday, I'm gonna be done like good out. And then like having to still have that mindset like in my birthday and stuff like that, it was just like so different for me. And so yeah, just really kind of like saying like, yeah, I can actually do a serious role like that and not feel like a fish out of water, not feel like that Disney kid who stepped into the role and isn't really doing it well. Like, no, I can act. And so yeah, that was great to sort of confirm through learning through this. And just also that I need to really work with more Black creators because just being inspired with every person on set that was doing just such an amazing job. Brianna, I know we had mentioned her. Just a wonderful mind as DP. Just a great eye and vision for things, and everybody just was just wonderful. And so yeah, it was just really just all of those things that I need to do moving forward, in the near future.
That was beautiful.
Is it my turn?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Gosh, I learned. What did I learn on this set here? I will say that first, this was one of my biggest productions in a long time. Switching careers and everything. So just thank you so much because I kind of smoothed into it and just was like, okay, let's do this then. But I learned so much about just being on set and seeing how actors prepared their roles and prepared to be present and I just took everything in. I can't specifically say one thing I learned. I just learned from being there. You know what I mean? Entering into this new phase, it's like, okay, this is how things are done. This is how things go wrong. This is how you fix it. This is how just kind of everything, I will like to say, Anthony, thank you for being so patient with me on the days that I was tardy. I do have to say that. Thank you for being patient on the days.
But surprisingly, that was the least of my worries. As long as I know that you were showing up, that's all that mattered. There were so many other things that me and Spencer were concerned with that was like,
yeah, that's what I had to work on. But thank you. That's kind of all I have to say. I just learned from being there. There's so many things to catch on to and to develop being in this side of of entertainment, and just being there and taking everything in was cool for me.
Is my go now?
Yeah.
Is there?
Oh, the one thing that I can say that I've learned, well, first I'm gonna say that I'm appreciative that I gained a new business partner out of this, because that was my first time like working with Spencer in that capacity.
Mhm.
And when I say I'm normally the type of person and I do a lot of things on my own, and like for the show, for example, I edit all of the episodes, I color corrected, I mixed all the sound, and I did all the music for the entire thing. I did it myself. But working with him, he let me know that I don't have to wear every hat. He's like, share the load. He was like, share the load. And that was a hard thing for me. So I appreciate him for having patience with me. So since like Eugena said, I appreciate him having patience with me. Because I know that's very hard for me. The biggest thing that I learned from Trace is, one, how to navigate with the union. That's one thing that I've learned. Two, I learned how to I knew that I've always been a creative person, but my level of creativity was pushed to such a high point that I was literally creating things on the spot to help us get through. And I normally don't do that. I like, get my shot list and da-da-da-da. Literally, I had to throw that shot list out the window and be like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and keep it moving. So that was a big learning thing for me. And also, the one thing that I will say that I was very appreciative of is Gary and Eugena allowing me to direct them. Because some people, you'll be surprised, some people don't take direction very well. But them listening to what I was saying and then implementing it is a whole different thing that require a set of skills that unfortunately a lot of actors lack. So that's one thing I was so appreciative, because I never had to work, and not just Gary and Eugena, that goes for all of the other actors that was in the project as well. They literally was like, in it, listen, boom, let's do this. And I love a thinking actor. If you don't know what you're doing, they ask questions. They wanted to understand what they were doing before they did it. So I was very, very, very thankful for that, because it shows in their work. But yeah, that's kind of sort of what I learned and what I'm thankful for.
Like I mentioned before, this was a crash course into production. And I've worked productions before this, but never at this capacity where I had to hold so many different titles and hats. And
you got your peach.
Right. One of the biggest things I learned is how to work more efficiently with any type of budget. Because a lot of times we're restricted by what the budget is and what the budget isn't. So that was one of the biggest takeaways for me. The second one was how to trust more. And normally when we talk about trust, we talk about trust in someone else. But in this case, I had to learn how to trust other people, and I had to learn how to trust myself. And that was really hard for me, because most of the time I felt like a fish out of water, it being my first time. Not like I haven't directed before, or produced before, but directing and producing at this level was huge, especially with everything else that was being thrown at us. One of the other things I learned is how important it is for us to get more involved with SAG-AFTRA as African Americans, because we get the short end of the stick with everything. And being on some of the larger white productions, and seeing what they don't have to do as opposed to what we have to do, I was I was a little taken aback, especially one day that we filmed. We were actually in the warehouse with a larger production company. And I happened to go over there and see that their COVID officer was not doing what he was supposed to be doing. They didn't have a separate place to eat, you know, all the stuff that they hold us accountable for. And it was the same day, coincidentally, that we had a SAG rep coming to make sure that we were doing everything right.
Yes.
And so that, you know, that it
Matter of fact, they
asked
to use our place to eat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They were in our place that we had designated with our snacks and stuff and our crafty.
Yeah. And so I mean there was so many lessons in this. And I also learned to lean on people more. And that, you know, like Anthony was saying, when you're used to doing everything yourself, trusting that somebody else is going to be able to do it too, you immediately go into cardiac arrest because you're so used to doing it all yourself. And this is something I couldn't do all by myself because I wasn't familiar with all of it enough to handle it by myself. So I really had to learn how to delegate, but then after delegating, allowing the person to do what it is that I delegated them to do. And so I can go on and on and on, but you know, the biggest lesson was learning to trust me.